Another reading from Failsafe, The Kennedy Curse Fused with Science Fiction Fantasy, written by me, Susan MeeLing, Reverend Susan MeeLing, Reverend MeeLing, Lady Dori, Belle, a few others. A smaller shadow bopped up and down before the larger haze, laughing. With us we have singers, painters, writers, and more scientists to science fiction creators from your world. The little bleep disappeared when the large silhouette overcame the entire scream with the booming voice. We do not have the most innocent people of your planet here either, because most of them also had died without pain, though some did suffer. A booming voice declared, for they have suffered enough underneath your self-appointed false importance, cherubim. Without an ability to see the small one all heard, you have labeled as retarded, special needs, and mentally incapable were all taken before this began. A scolding tone of voice permeated all ears. The majority of the rest of you cherubim will suffer, as only the truly guilty should, after forcing your evil ways upon the pureness of the earth. All who have ceased to live on the 4th of April of this year at 4:44 a.m. were only the truly most innocent ones among you. Everyone since then will soon understand. Piping up loudly, the tiny one popped in and out of the shadow, exclaiming several times over, that's what you get and you don't bother throwing a fit. That's what you get and don't bother throwing a fit. That's what you get and don't bother throwing a fit, cherubim. Additionally saying while bobbing in front of the camera at different angles, you much be educated first, though. While the crowds awaited for the next move to boisterously, a loud voice proclaimed towards the captives in the directions only into their headphones, fear not of those things. Sorry. Fear not of those things you see, for which you shall suffer for beholding. The devil cast out, and shall have some of you in prison, cherubim, so that you may be tried, and your tribulations will last 10 days each. Sadistically chuckling before proclaiming, I warned you to be faithful until death, and I will give thee a crown of life. Such has been stated in Revelations chapter 2, verse 10. Just as the words resonated through the captive's ears, so it was. Enjoy your crown of thorns from the entangled vines once choking the tree of life that you, cherubim, chose for yourselves. The smaller voice repeated 4 times after waiting for the turn. You were warned repeatedly to repent or else I'll come unto thee quickly. You were warned repeatedly to repent, or else I'll come unto thee quickly. You were warned repeatedly to repent, or else I'll come unto thee quickly. You were warned repeatedly to repent, or else I'll come unto ye quickly. Stating without any inflections, you were warned. I will fight against the evils with the sword of my mouth. Almost able to see the creature bouncing while it spoke. The book of Revelation quotes in chapter 2, verse 16. Echoing throughout the remaining lands, white robes were given unto every one of the innocent to shield them from you, cherubim. As it was said unto them, they can rest for a little season. Saying afterwards, additionally, in Revelations chapter 6, verse 11, it has been stated. The voices continued changing, not until their fellow servants and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. Exuberantly, Revelations chapter 6, verse 17 asks the question, when the great day comes, who shall be able to stand? You cherubim are guilty of eating the tainted flesh of kings and queens and the flesh of captains. All of you who are blameworthy of destroying the flesh of mighty men and women and the flesh of horses. Cautioning the prisoners, you were warned not to sit on them and the flesh of all men and women in your cherubim attempts to destroy their spirits. You were cautioned to be balanced, to be fair between both the free and the bonded. You were told to be compassionate to both small and great until you were proven unworthy. Cherubim, with confidence declaring as fact, so states in Revelations chapter 19, verse 18. Well, there were voices screaming from every captive and remaining living creature. It was heard, it has been you, cherubim, who have been proven to be undeserving of the keys of the kingdom. Every remaining man, woman, and child had quickly become mesmerized by the images, terrified and yet filled with wonder. All gathered to listen while trying to deal with their wounds, to hear of the history of evolution. In that random pieces and shards of metal fragments and fans continued destroying people and land as the mayhem continued. In order to preserve the necessity for attention from all individuals within the Earth's atmosphere, the holographic images spanned the entirety of the skies, changing the view from two-dimensional into three-dimensional images. The public cried out in agonizing fear. Each captive individual had been locked within their own separate container, connected to other holding cells in organized stadium-style rows. Surrounding what seemed to be a large central platform for the stage, the panoramic view zoomed closer for each. A few people noticed several analog clocks within their arms' position at 4:44 to startle the watchers when the minute hand completed the round, and all arms rotated counterclockwise more than 60 times. By the time the individual counted to 66, the person watching lost control of their bowels, while the hands rotated backwards faster and hypnotizing each observer to control over their minds, to force their internal organs to the floor. Each collapsed to the ground, laying in the combined juices, never to see the hands abruptly stop moving during the 19th counterclockwise spin of the three hands together. Ceasing the movement to point the time to 4:44, repeating the pattern of internal destruction with each new viewer. Upon their final gasp for air, each intuitively knew they should have continued paying attention to themselves. Many of the captives within the clear containers were restrained to a larger structure, while other prisoners sat with their appendages restrained. Every single fat cat aristocrat in the secret location had all clothing removed from their bodies. The only clothing remaining to cover up any captive had been each personal choice for undergarments. Several females and males who preferred to wear boxer brief hybrids underneath their clothing with a lace or satin bra were on display for the entire universe to see. The males who wore silk panty thongs or who wore nothing at all underneath their business suit attire were exposed for all of the public to witness and judge accordingly to their public statements, ignoring what happens behind closed doors between consenting adults. When the camera started to focus in on one person at a time, a narration to describe exactly who they were began. Those who criticized religious beliefs were naked through the transparent glass for everyone to see, but all watched tears pouring from their eyes from the shame of the results of their cherubim secret dealings. Those who were spiritual zealots and quick to condemn many were open for all to judge for themselves, able to witness the hidden shame beneath their clothing. The public saw the truth within the nakedness of their souls. Each captive prisoner wore metal headdresses, causing their eyes to be forced open, while their ears were surrounded by multiple deafening large speakers, raucously adding into the headphones, "You were warned not to hurt the earth. You were told neither to harm the sea nor the trees. We have sealed the servants of our God in the correct foreheads." The book of Revelations in chapter 7, verse 3, counseled every single one of you. The high-pitched squeal giggled, "You should have learned to work with and not against." Both voices softly whispered into the speakers for the prisoners, "After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man can number, of all nations and generations of people and tongues." Continuing on. "So all stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed in white robes and palms in their hands." Though we cannot guarantee the definition of palms in this day and age for you, in the Bible has said in Revelations chapter 17 in verse 9, or 7th in verse 9, the high pitch to annoyingly bother the cherubim. The Lamb which is in the midst of the throne shall be the only one to feed them. So states the book of Revelations in chapter 7, verse 17. Laughing loudly and barely able to fully state, lead them unto living fountains of water, and God shall wipe away the tears from all their eyes. Mushing the ooze of the proverbial noise with their pores and noses into the proverbial way while asking, do you, cherubim, people, think you are lucky? Notifying in the alarming roaring voice, I went unto the... I went unto the angel and said unto him, give me the little book. Rhetorically asking the cherubim prisoners, do you know what was said during that time? He said unto me, take it and eat it up, and it shall make thy belly bitter. It shall be taken into thy mouth, tasting sweet as honey. And so I took the little book out of the angel's hand and ate it up, and it was in my mouth sweet as honey. Soon as I had eaten it, my belly was bitter. Then that little angel said unto me, thou must prophesy before many peoples, nations, tongues, queens, and kings. The small one appeared before each captive's face, screaming, this should have been paid attention to long ago. This had been stated within the book of Revelations in chapter 10, verses 9 through 11. Many prisoners soiled themselves as their cherubim stuff poured from their undergarments for all to witness, while the voices asked, are you able to find a silver lining now? While the captive screamed in agony as the tiny creature whispered while touching their proverbial noses together, the eyes were as a flame of fire, and on the head were many crowns. They had a name written that no man knew but themselves. So says Revelations in chapter 19, verse 12. Whispering through the headphones into the ears of each cherubim prisoner. Revelation chapter 21 in verse 5 says, write, for these words are true and faithful. Chapter 14, verse 13 is quite similar. Write, for blessed are the dead which die in the Lord from henceforth. The Spirit has come so they may rest from their labors, and their works will follow them. Here comes the wrath! Here comes the wrath! Are you ready now? It is time for the wrath. And that of that particular reading from Belle, The Kennedy Curse Fused with Science Fiction Fantasy. Written by me, Susan MeeLing, Reverend MeeLing, Reverend Susan MeeLing, Lady Dori Belle. You guys share and like this video and make sure that others watch too, and subscribe to my channel, please. Thank you.